My friends, greetings. In my opinion, fuel consumption is one of the top priorities when choosing a car, right up there with the reliability of its powertrain. But how can you compare the fuel consumption of completely different cars under the same conditions? You won't find such a test anywhere else, but today we're going to make it happen. Hello everyone, my name is Dennis. We've gathered 8 fantastic vehicles for you. All compact crossovers. Understandably, BSUV class has recently become my favorite. For now, we'll keep the lineup a secret, but I'll tell you what we're going to do. Right now, I'm at a gas station. We're filling up to the brim with high-quality fuel, 95 Mustang, because 7 out of 8 cars in this test run on gasoline. Each one has a different engine and power output. That's an important factor, and I'll come back to it later. Today, we'll be driving 3 different routes across Kyiv. The first one is about 60 kilometers, an urban cycle. All the cars will be under identical conditions. Tire pressure checked, fuel tanks filled to the brim. You'll see it for yourself. The main idea is that on this first section, all the cars will tail one another, keeping the conditions as equal as possible. At the end, we'll reveal their city consumption results, though the drive may include some traffic jams, since we never know what to expect. Also worth noting, it's 0 degrees right now, and we're filming this test on February 28th. You could say this is a typical mild winter in Ukraine these days. For the second part, we'll move on to mixed terrain, traveling on smaller, lower quality roads, and even some unpaved sections. After that, we'll show you the second fuel consumption table for these BSUVs. Then we'll likely take a lunch break, since we have a big crew today, but more on that later. Afterwards, we'll wait for the evening rush hour and reveal the third table in Kyiv's Podil district. This will show how these crossovers perform in stop-and-go traffic and heavy traffic conditions. Finally, the fourth and last table of the day will capture full tank to full tank consumption data. But there's a catch. Even though all these vehicles are BSUVs, they have different engines, weights, and power ratings. Yes, the table will rank them from 1st to 8th place, but my main goal isn't just to create a leaderboard. It's to show how different classmates perform under the same conditions. That's what really matters. So, in the final table, we'll also include weight, power, and engine type to get a clearer picture. Friends, I know many of you are fans of different brands, so please show your support with likes and comments. You can imagine how challenging it is to bring together so many official cars. I'd like to give a huge thank you to the importers and dealership representatives who made this possible. Each car will have 2 people inside. The first is a brand representative, a dealership expert whom we'll introduce later. The second person will drive a car from a different brand. So, for the next 100 kilometers, which is roughly our plan for today, you'll hear impressions from, say, a Nissan rep driving a Jeep. Oops! Spoiler alert! Yes, we have those in the lineup. All right, let's fuel up, check the tire pressure, reset the trip computers, and hit the road. If you'd like to support us, please drop us a like and share your thoughts in the comments section. That way we can keep doing videos like this in the future. You know what, friends? I also want to mention something. In addition to this 8-car mini battle, we're also fulfilling a promise we made in the previous video called Who Got Knocked Out? In that video, the Suzuki S-Cross competed against the new Renault Duster. We promised to show the diesel Duster, so today we have 8 cars, yet only 7 brands. Now, in this video, we will also see the Duster 1.2 Mild Hybrid compete against the Duster 1.5 Turbo Diesel with the legendary K9K engine. Let's go. Friends, I just remembered another important clarification. Some of these cars were provided by dealerships and haven't been fully broken in yet. So we should add the mileage of the cars to the table. For example, yesterday I tested the Nissan Juke and it already has 14,000 kilometers on it. Meanwhile, the new Renault Duster 1.2 probably hasn't even reached 1,000 kilometers. It is important to keep that in mind because after the break-in period, engines will use less fuel. But today we'll still give you the full picture. Now let's talk about cars.
My name is Pavlo. Today we're participating in a fuel consumption challenge to see which of us is the most fuel efficient. Right here I have a Jeep Avenger and a hybrid with a 1.2-liter engine under the hood and an electric motor on the gearbox. The total power output is 125 horsepower. A comfortable, modern little car. I'm hoping for a win today. The car has been broken in with 12,500 kilometers on the odometer, more than enough to show real fuel consumption.
Greetings to all. We're back on the set. Today, we have the same Renault Duster 1.2 mild hybrid with 130 horsepower that we tested last time. And as promised, we also have the diesel Duster 1.5 with 115 horsepower, 250 newton meters of torque, a manual transmission, and front-wheel drive. Today, in this fuel consumption battle, we'll see which one is more efficient, the diesel or the mild hybrid.
Don't pin those stars on your shoulders just yet. You represent a dealership, so tell us which one.
We're from Renault Arma Motors. We're waiting for you. Come and visit us.
Tell me, because this is important. Has your car been broken in? What's the mileage?
No, of course, it hasn't been broken in yet. For us, the break-in period is up to 3,000 kilometers. After that, fuel consumption decreases. Ours has 1,359 kilometers, so it's practically a brand new car, a properly tested new vehicle. After 3,000 kilometers, fuel consumption really goes down. That's how it is.
Hello everyone, my name is Yevgen and I'm the Senior Manager at Renault Key Auto Center, an official dealer in Kiev. Today we have two Renault Dusters for testing. A 1.2 turbo mild hybrid with 130 horsepower and the one we're in right now, a 1.5. The legendary K9K, the car has been broken in.
What's the mileage?
2,700 kilometers.
Yes, unlike the 1.2 hybrid you heard Vitali, break-in starts at 3,000 kilometers.
So ours is almost there, and it seems like it hasn't exactly been driven very carefully.
By the way, what's your current fuel consumption?
Right now it's 4.2 liters.
The mild hybrid uses about a liter more.
I think that's pretty good for a diesel, and the hybrid is actually performing better than I expected. Honestly, I thought it would consume more. It would be interesting to test the 1.3 automatic with 150 horsepower. It may not be available everywhere yet, but we at Key Auto should have it soon, maybe even next week.
We are driving the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, top-of-the-line ultimate trim, 1.5 turbo, all-wheel drive. Important note, it's a four-cylinder. It has a combined injection system, meaning 2 injectors per cylinder, port, and direct injection. The car weighs about 1.5 tons. In terms of platform and wheelbase, it's based on the previous generation Outlander. So this is not a small car. Keep in mind, the body length is 4.54 meters. The cabin is quite spacious. We have a Jatco JF016 CVT, a well-known and widely used transmission found in many Nissan and Mitsubishi models. It's showing 6.7 liters per 100 kilometers. Frankly, I'm a little surprised myself, because when I tell customers that fuel consumption in the city is around 8 to 9, up to 10 liters, they often don't believe it. But I've never driven this gently. I usually drive normally. Turns out, you can get this kind of fuel economy even in a mixed cycle, a mix of city and highway, with traffic lights and stops. It's actually quite comfortable. I wonder how it is for others. The mileage is 764 kilometers, so it hasn't even been broken in yet. One could assume that after another 3,000 to 4,000 kilometers, fuel consumption might be even lower. I wouldn't rule it out. I think owners of such cars will share their actual city and highway consumption in the comments. During our tests and filming, when I get the chance to drive this car in my usual rhythm, in the city, my average is around 9 liters. That's definitely not an eco-driving mode.
Friends, we've already introduced you to 4 cars, and we've decided to take a short break because switching between cars is quite a challenge for me. Let's find the Nissan Juke representative and ask what they brought today. Which car, in which trim, and with what engine?
Good afternoon. My name is Victoria. I represent the Nissan Nico Auto Alliance dealership. Today we are participating in the fuel economy test with a Nissan Juke. It has a 1.0-litre 3-cylinder engine and a robotic transmission.
Hello, my name is Mikhailo. I'm a sales consultant at Ford Winter Automotive. Today I'm representing our dealership, the very first Ford dealership in Ukraine. We've been operating since 1992. It's the first, the biggest, and the best in Ukraine. We always have a wide range of cars in the showroom and available for test drives. Today, we are presenting the new updated Ford Puma in the top ST Line X trim. Technically, it features a 1.0-liter gasoline EcoBoost engine with mild hybrid technology, a 7-speed robotic transmission with a wet dual clutch system. In terms of equipment, it has everything for maximum comfort to endure this test throughout the entire day on the road.
Good afternoon. My name is Vladislav. I represent the Auto Trading Center dealership. Today we are going to test fuel consumption. We brought the 2025 Skoda Kamiq for you with a 1.0-liter turbo engine and a DSG-DQ 200 automatic transmission. I hope we'll show a good result and compete well with our partners. As Denis mentioned earlier, some cars in the test are not fully broken in yet. Ours, for example, has only 549 kilometers on the odometer, meaning it hasn't gone through its break-in period yet. That's something to consider.
Good afternoon. I'm Denis, a representative of Suzuki dealership, specifically from the Suzuki on Podil dealership. Today we brought the Suzuki S-Cross for testing. It's not a hybrid, 1.4 turbo, 140 horsepower, with a classic automatic transmission and all-wheel drive, just as Denis requested to get a realistic fuel consumption reading. Our car is already broken in with nearly 25,000 kilometers on the odometer. Let's see what results we get. Meanwhile, we are moving on. There's still a lot of interesting things ahead.
Friends, the first part of our journey is complete. We've covered almost 60 kilometers, just as planned. Before we head onto rough terrain, a light off-road, you could say, a road without asphalt, I suggest we check each car and log fuel consumption on the onboard computer. As you can see, all 8 of our cars are lined up and waiting. The drivers have logged the data, and now we'll show it to you. Let's start with the Suzuki S-Cross 1.4 Boosterjet non-hybrid. What's the fuel consumption for the Suzuki S-Cross? We record 5.4 liters. Moving on to the Jeep Avenger 1.2 mild hybrid, but in essence, it's structurally a full-fledged strong hybrid. Pavlo, surprise us.
4.8 liters.
4.8, but this is a more technologically advanced car. The next contender for leadership, a 1.0-liter, 3-cylinder, 115 horsepower turbocharged gasoline engine. Let's see.
5.3 liters.
5.3, meaning it's almost right in line with the Suzuki S-Cross. Next up is a car that not only competes with the others, but also with its own diesel counterpart, the Duster. Let's ask Vitaly what the Renault Duster Mild Hybrid 1.2 2025 model, which has just arrived in Ukraine, will show us today. Vitaly, surprise us.
The mild hybrid showed 5.4 liters.
5.4? Well, you lost a bit to the Avenger. But let's put it this way, it's still a mild hybrid, while the Avenger is closer to a strong hybrid. So, in my opinion, 5.4 is a great result for what is probably the biggest car in our test, especially compared to the Eclipse Cross. It's one of the biggest cars, possibly the heaviest. For a more accurate comparison, you'll see the weight and power in the table, but 5.4 liters. Great. The most powerful turbocharged 1.0-liter engine, 155 horsepower, and this is the Ford Puma. Let's see what it shows us today.
4.6 liters.
Guys, this is phenomenal. 4.6 liters. But is the onboard computer lying? We'll find out tonight. The beloved K9K diesel. Not just in the previous generation of the Renault Duster, but across the entire Renault and Dacia lineup, as this brand is known in Europe, my personal prediction, the diesel should consume 1 liter less. Let's see.
3.8 liters.
Diesel Duster's consumption, 3.8 liters. You can probably already write in the comments, diesel forever. But I disagree. Perhaps the most eye-catching car today is the updated Nissan Juke with a turbocharged 1.0-liter engine. Let's check out its fuel economy.
5.8 liters.
We'd like to see a bit less, but this is a top-of-the-line model with 19-inch wheels. I think if you get a lower version, the fuel economy would be at least half a liter less. If any of you own this awesome bug, feel free to comment. Personally, I don't expect the lowest consumption from this car. Like the Duster, it's also an all-wheel drive system. So anything under 7 liters is a win. Let's check it out. 6.5 liters is a good result for a car like this. You can write in the comments whether this is the worst result today, but weight, power, everything will be listed in the overall table. Once again, I emphasize, this car has an all-wheel drive system, and that makes a difference. While you're reviewing the report table with the fuel consumption of all the cars that participated today, I want to point out, alongside the cars, you can see the weight, power, and drivetrain type, whether it's all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. We're getting ready and heading out for the second part of our route, a mini off-road section. All of the cars are crossovers with increased ground clearance, which helps them tackle basic obstacles. So, recording fuel consumption in this mode should be interesting. As always, hit the like button and we're moving on. Stay with us. As promised, we mixed representatives from different dealerships. Meet Anastasia from Renault Arma Motors Kyiv. Today she drove the Nissan Juke and Ford Puma. Let's keep it quick. 2 pros and 2 cons for each car.
Let's start with the Nissan Juke. Honestly, I really liked the updated model. The previous one looked a bit scary, but now it's very stylish, both inside and out. I really liked the sound system. It was very clear and powerful. The car handled all the roads well. But with my height of 1.77 meters, the space felt a bit tight. As for the Ford Puma, it's small, very small. I sat in the back seat, and even when we adjusted the front seats, there was very little space. It's low, there's not much headroom. I even hit my head when getting in, unfortunately. But it's very dynamic. That's a big plus. And as it turned out, it has one of the lowest fuel consumption. The media system is also great. Thanks.
And now let's talk to another participant.
My name is Victoria. I'm from the Nico Nissan Auto Alliance dealership. Today, I was a passenger in a Skoda. What can I say? The car's off-road capability is very good. considering the terrain we drove on. Unexpectedly, it handled quite well. It skids a little, but it holds the road excellently. No major drawbacks except for the lack of power. If you get stuck, it's a bit difficult to get out, but the ride is smooth, overall pleasant. I liked it.
Hello, I'm a representative of the Suzuki brand. Today, I had the chance to test the new Renault Duster in both hybrid and diesel versions. As a passenger, I didn't feel any significant differences between them, but I definitely want to highlight the new design of the Duster. It won't leave anyone indifferent. Off-road, this car delivers a thrilling driving experience. Inside, I'd say it's quite spacious. Lots of room, very comfortable. As for the downsides, the suspension is quite stiff, and you feel every bump on the road. Some might have complaints about the interior materials, but for a car in this class, everything looks quite decent.
Hello, my name is Katerina. I'm a representative of Auto Trading Center Skoda. Today, I tested the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross as a passenger. What can I say? I liked the car, starting with its appearance. The fuel consumption was surprisingly low. What I didn't like, the rear seats are quite high. I'm short, so it's fine for me, but taller people might find it uncomfortable. Overall, very positive emotions about the car.
Hello, my name is Natalia, and I'm a representative of the Mitsubishi brand. Today, I had a chance to drive the Jeep Avenger. What else can I say about it? Very smooth and comfortable. Soft suspension, adaptive cruise control. Driving off-road was incredibly comfortable. I liked how this car felt to drive, even though it's compact and small.
Hello, everyone. My name is Margarita, and I represent the Renault dealership. Today, I tested the Suzuki S-Cross. I really liked this car. The two main advantages are its compactness and comfort. I also liked its modern and stylish design. However, there are a few minor drawbacks. The suspension is slightly stiff, and the sound insulation could be better.
Personally, I believe it's important to explain where the 34 kilometers came from. So here's the breakdown. 10 kilometers were on dirt roads or roads without asphalt. 15 kilometers were on a narrow one-way street where everyone was driving at no more than 50 kilometers per hour. And the last 9 kilometers were on the Kyiv highway, where we were driving at a normal speed of 70 kilometers per hour. Friends, while you were looking at the table, we had a delicious lunch. Big thanks to the WOG fuel station complex. Everything was tasty and great. Our experiment is almost complete. We have about 15 kilometers left to drive, but this will be with traffic jams in the downtown, so let's go. As always, we appreciate your likes, and we kindly ask you to watch the video until the end. After logging the fuel consumption in traffic, we will refuel our cars again by the end of the day and show you the real consumption based on the fuel tank. Let's go. Here's the promised traffic jam. We're crawling along the main street in this district. It's under construction, so everything is happening exactly as we expected. We've moved 200 meters and stopped again. I hope this will have an effect on fuel consumption. Share your thoughts in the comments. As you can see from the table, this segment started around 5 p.m. in Kyiv. We weren't stuck in traffic the entire 18 kilometers, just the worst parts. This was meant to simulate a traffic jam, either going to work in the morning or returning home in the evening. That's important, which is why the consumption figures are quite low.
At the request of our customers, we conducted control of fuel measurements using a second-class reference gauge. The legal margin of error within this gauge is plus or minus 100 milliliters.
As I've emphasized before, my goal was not to show a winner or a loser. That's why you should always consider fuel consumption in the context of transmission type, wheel size, power output, and vehicle weight. Our goal is to show how similar vehicles consume fuel under identical conditions. For those who want to analyze deeper, the video includes timestamps. You can click on them to see how fuel consumption changed in the tournament table. For example, you can analyze how the Avenger hybrid shows noticeable fluctuations in different conditions. Similarly, you can see how the Renault Duster 4x4 uses more fuel off-road because of its four-wheel drive system. It's all there in the timestamps for those who are interested.